Okay, we are live tonight for another series highlighting either a department or a program that we have here at the City of Rockford. And I am really excited. We have an entire team here, as everyone can see, who's at home, or maybe you're at work and you probably shouldn't be watching this while you're at work, but if you are, we appreciate it. But we have an awesome team. This is our Head Start team for the City of Rockford. We're going to dive into Head Start in just a moment, but I want to take this opportunity to talk to you about a couple of other initiatives that are going on. One, a big one that I've been getting questions about is how is the process going to fill both the Rockford Fire Department Chief position and the Rockford Police Department Chief position. So two quick things I would mention. One, the application deadline has closed. The application timeline was July 1st. That has closed. We have 13 applicants for fire chief. We have 13 applicants for police chief. Two of the police chief positions are internal candidates, and 5 of the fire chief positions are internal candidates. Where you will also see over the next several weeks more opportunities to engage. I would say the first opportunity that you now have to engage is to email us questions that you have, email us things that you would like to see, characteristics, values, and again, questions that you may have of the next chief for fire and police. So you can do so simply by emailing for the fire chief. You would email Rockford FD at iossolutions.com. And for the police chief, you would email Rockford PD at iossolutions.com. Again, this process is moving. We're excited about it. I think both departments are excited to get, I think our interim chiefs have done a phenomenal job, but obviously it's always better when you have that permanent position filled. So we're looking forward to that in both of these critical departments at our city. Next is a couple of exciting things that have passed City Council recently. One is a partnership that we have formed with Winnebago County government as well as Winnebago County State's Attorney, and it's to bring back a reentry program to our community. We've had kind of fits and starts with reentry programs. They've always been grant driven, and that's really good for our budget, but it's really not good for the continuity of the program or those that we're serving. And so myself, Chairman Chiarelli, and State's Attorney Hanley have teamed up and said, we believe this is important. We believe that this will help reduce violent crime. We believe also, probably most importantly, this will help improve lives and improve families in our community. So we have each dedicated $400,000 over the next 4 years to have a reentry program. So we are going to focus on the most violent of violent offenders who are returning to our community. We're going to make sure that they have every opportunity to succeed right here in Rockford, if that's helping them find housing or employment, if that's reconnecting them with their family or their faith, or getting other services that they may need. But it also, we're going to be telling them that violence is not going to be tolerated here in Rockford if they want to continue down the path they were before going away, that we would enforce the laws and do it swiftly. Next is, and I'm thrilled that Director Anquanette Parham is here this evening. Her and her team have just done a wonderful job. We have transitioned our Human Services Department to be the Health and Human Services Department. And very shortly after we made that transition, they have brought in a $3.6 million grant to help improve minority health in the city of Rockford. We've all went through a really difficult 16 months in our community with the pandemic. It has illuminated and highlighted significant issues when it comes to health and disparities of health, and how the social determinants of health impacts all of us in our community. And so this is a wonderful grant that you're going to hear a lot more about in the coming weeks. Last thing is the police and fire. Two great departments at the city. They're battling each other now as they're partnering with Rock River Valley Blood Center this week for the Battle of the Badges. If you donate blood before Friday at noon, you can vote to support either the Rockford Police or the Rockford Fire Department. The score after just yesterday was Rockford Fire 40 and Rockford Police 35. So appreciate everyone who is participating in that. it's kind of a fun way just to encourage folks in our community to donate their blood. It really, truly does save lives, and we need it now, and the blood center needs it. So appreciate everyone's interest and help and support of that. So as we begin, as you can tell, we have a wonderful team here to help answer any questions that you all have. We have a host of questions that we've already received that we're going to ask, but please, if you have an opportunity, throw your question in the chat and we'll make sure, if at all possible, that we get those answered. I'm going to start with you, Director Parham. Thanks so much for joining us again tonight. Tonight is a little bit different, right? We the last couple times, we've talked about the department as a whole. We talked about a grant program, the Regrow program that is coming up. And if you could tell when that grant deadline is, when the applications have to come in, if you could give a quick plug for that.
Sure, yes. The Rockford Regrow Grant application ends on July 31st at 5 p.m. So those applications are currently available on the City of Rockford's website. You can find that by going to rockfordil.gov/regrow-grants. That application, as well as the notice of funding opportunity, are both listed on the site, as well as a link to the Facebook Live that we previously did that answers quite a few questions about that process and just how everything works. And those applications are rolling in. So we are excited to see some of the innovative things that a number of local groups and individuals are proposing to do with these cannabis tax funds. So that's an exciting initiative that we've got going now.
Awesome. Thank you. And thanks to you and Director Franzen for the amazing effort that you've put forward with that. All right, let's dive in. Folks have signed in to talk about Head Start. We have a phenomenal program here at the city. So Director Parham, I guess 2 quick questions. One, can you give us a high-level overview of Head Start's comprehensive services? And 2, as you close that answer, could you introduce your awesome team?
My pleasure. I'm very excited to be here with our leadership team for Head Start here in the city of Rockford. And just overall, really, Head Start is a comprehensive program that offers child development and family-focused services. And we serve children ages 0 to 5, as well as pregnant moms and children with disabilities and their families. The greatest aspect of Head Start is that really Head Start is designed to focus on the emotional, the social, the intellectual, the health, nutritional and psychological needs of children and their families. So Head Start is by design a very comprehensive program. We've been around for many, many years and entrenched in this community. And we really do our best to provide optimal service to low-income families in our communities. So with that, I will introduce my Head Start leadership team on our live today. We've got Lisa Warren. She is the Head Start director. We also have Michelle Wirtz. She is our community, our partner services team lead. We've got Alicia Fortner. She is our health services team lead. We also have Sandra Rodriguez, who is our family services team lead. We have Markeisha Hill. She is our enrollment and transportation coordinator for Head Start. And then we also have Chris Holm, who is our early Head Start team leader. So I'm very excited to have these ladies with us today to kind of dive in a little deeper to exactly what we're doing in the community and the great things that Head Start's doing and how folks can get their families involved in the program. So thank you.
Absolutely. And thank you. I am intimidated by the amount of knowledge that's on this stream. So I'm going to jump in and start with you, Lisa. Thank you for your leadership as a Head Start director. I really do appreciate it. And as everyone will see here shortly, you guys have a great team. Tell us a little bit about this Head Start program. And I think some folks, I guess I'll ask you 2 questions in a row here. Tell us about the program in a little detail, but then folks hear Head Start and early Head Start. Can you tell us the difference between those 2? Oh, you're on mute, sorry.
There we go. Head Start actually was founded in 1965 as part of the federal war on poverty, and it started out as a summer program for preschool age children in the community, and it was in Rockford at that time. And since then, it's really grown to the 714 children that we serve today. And the city became the grantee for the program in 1975. So we've been in the city for a long time. And we serve all of Winnebago County. We began serving infants and toddlers and pregnant women in 2010. And now that group makes up about 180 of the 714 children and families that we serve. So Early Head Start and Head Start are both, high quality, comprehensive child development programs supporting school readiness for children. And the difference really is that Early Head Start serves pregnant women and children birth to 3, and then Head Start serves children 3 to 5. And we like to see that smooth transition from the Early Head Start program to the Head Start program so that children get the benefit of both programs.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Lisa. And then we're going to keep you on as we bring Chris back on with us to talk about Early Head Start. So just give me 1 second here as I adjust some of this. There's a touch of feedback, so I'm going to mute myself, Chris, once I ask you a question. Talk to us first about the Early Head Start program and who is eligible for that program.
Sure. With our Early Head Start program, we have both center-based enrollment options at some child cares, and we have a unique parent-child education center. Primarily, it is we have a very large home visiting program where we service 114 families through that option. And these families, as Lisa mentioned, are expectant women or families with children from birth up to age 3. We service all of Winnebago County. We support parents in their role as their child's first teacher. We promote the growth and development of infants and toddlers by utilizing a research-based curriculum that is very popular amongst home visiting programs. It's called Parents as Teachers. We do developmental screenings. We also do behavioral screenings, health screenings, such as hearing and vision, to just, again, look at the whole child and their growth and development and how to support that. We also, in Early Head Start Home Base, we have an opportunity for families to come together monthly. And these are called socializations in the Head Start world. And really, it's a play-based opportunities for families to come with their little ones. So parents get the opportunity to talk to other parents about their parenting journey, and little ones get the opportunity to interact with other little ones, which they may not get just from their home environment alone. And in terms of eligibility, Head Start's pretty basic in terms of what needs to be met to be eligible for services. There are income requirements and there are age requirements. So if you meet our income requirements and then you are anywhere between being an expectant woman or a child between birth and under 3, then you would meet those requirements. You're muted, Mr. Mayor.
It's like the story of 2020, right? Like,
yeah,
thanks for talking, but you're muted. So just reminding those folks who are on, if you have questions that you would like answered regarding the Head Start program, we have an awesome team here to help you answer those questions. So Chris, so I sent my child, let's use this as an example. I sent when my children were 2, I sent them to what they've told me was a 2-year-old school. Had great education while they were at the school, but there wasn't a lot of services outside of that. Do you see Early Head Start, the big difference being that full encompassing services for not just a child, but the actual entire family?
Yes, that is a big piece of Head Start in general is that we are family centered, and we bring in all family members, especially during home visiting. We do home visits with the primary legal guardian or, parent, but there's always going to be other family members there, and they're an important part of that child's life. So they're also brought into the visit. So it's a very unique opportunity to get to work with families so intensely in their homes.
Absolutely. And when you're talking about those visits in the homes, it really brings up that, the development, the education of a child really begins at birth. Can you discuss why that's so important?
Sure. Well, school readiness begins during pregnancy and at birth and continues throughout early childhood. For infants and toddlers, school readiness looks like the ability to develop self-regulation, the ability to develop close and secure relationships with caregivers and peers, the ability to demonstrate curiosity about their environment and the willingness to explore that environment, and how to communicate effectively. And of course, this development is impacted by good health and nutrition, but the most important part of that is infants and toddlers having a safe, secure, responsive relationship with their parent. These relationships support healthy brain development, and that is the foundation for all later school readiness. And a fun little, for those of us who are in this realm of child development, a fun little fact, children's brains are 75% of their total, adult development by age 3, because it's just such a miraculous time of growth and development and all of these learning opportunities when taken advantage of.
Oh man, now that my kids are 4 and 5, I just got all nervous. I hope I did okay by them. So one thing, the home visits are really unique. I'm sure each one is different, but
Absolutely.
Can you walk through what one of those may look like if someone's, considering putting their child into Head Start? What does that home visit look like to them?
Sure. Each family gets a 90-minute home visit each week with their home visitor teacher. During these home visits, we partner with parents to provide individualized activities based on that child's what's developmentally appropriate for that child, what their current skills and abilities are, and what we've learned through partnership with parents. What do parents want their child to learn right now at this stage in their life? As we're doing the activities, we're helping parents. We're talking to them about why this is important. What is the purpose of what we are doing? And how it impacts what that child is learning at this particular time. So this helps a parent maintain just an accurate idea of growth and development. And there's also a social service kind of aspect to this family. Families have needs that we come across and identify as we continue to build our relationship with them week after week after week. And, as families share, any barriers in their lives or goals and their dreams and ambitions that they have, we work to connect them to resources within our community that can help support the needs of each individual family.
So I'm going to bring Michelle on, but before you leave, Chris, I guess one question, just because it sounds like those home visits and that connection relationship so critical between the Head Start team and the parents and the children. How much of that changed, and how did the team deal with those changes during something like COVID? And you're laughing because I have a feeling pretty dramatically.
Well, my home visiting team is spectacular. They are an awesome group, and they worked really hard to keep connections with the families during COVID. Initially, none of us knew how long this was going to take. So we were doing daily contacts by phone and just checking in and ensuring the health and the wellness of everybody and just seeing how things were going. And as it went longer, we were like, okay, we need to look into doing something differently. And then we started to do virtual home visits with the families and, of course, these infants and toddlers. So that looked a little different. You know, on the one hand, we never recommend a whole lot of screen time, and yet that's what we were doing. So, but it kept us engaged with families. You know, it kept us connected. We were hearing, you know, what was going on with them, still connecting them to resources the whole time. You know, some families, you know, just had major life issues, you know, maybe needed food, and, you know, we could connect them to those resources. We were just always there to continue to provide that help. But I can say that we are back to in-person home visiting and have been since mid-June, and the staff are happy. The families are very happy. It just seems to be great that we've, you know, been able to overcome a lot of this hurdle to get back to being in person, just because that being together is a very important part of that relationship. And it is different when you're in person versus a screen.
Oh yeah, I've done like FaceTimes with family members with my 4 and 5-year-old, and it's a hot mess to say the least. So I can't imagine what the staff went through, but it had to have been a blessing for those families during such a difficult year to know that if it's a phone call, if it's a Zoom, whatever platform you used, that they knew someone was just there. So appreciate that. And you mentioned partnerships, resources, a number of times. So if Michelle, who is our partner services team lead, Michelle, it sounds like, and I'm just unmuting you now just so you have it there. It sounds like partnerships is so critical to the work of Head Start. Can you tell us a little bit about those partners?
Absolutely. We partner with the Rockford Public School District. We partner with child care centers. Most of all, certainly, we partner with parents and community agencies. And the reason that we partner with all of these agencies is to give children and family options, because we know that each family and each child is in a different situation, a different place. And we want to give everybody the opportunity to have this experience in the setting that works best for them. So we have classes at Summerdale and at Bayer, full day, part day. We have childcare classes through Hand in Hand Childcare, the YMCA, Children's Learning Center, Trinity Daycare. So there's a lot of options for working parents, parents who are in training, parents who are going to school, parents who want to move forward. And we try and give the best option to a family and work with that family to establish where that child sets best in our program.
Absolutely. And just talking to Chris before, seeing how things changed with COVID and those partnerships, especially, I would assume, and maybe I'm wrong, but those partnerships with some of the services out in our community, how did that change, and how were you and the team able to continue to build those partnerships while everyone was going through this pandemic?
Sure. Several of our child care centers were able to file for the emergency crisis license, so they continue to offer services to working parents who were enrolled in Head Start as well. We were able to give them some support in buying, personal protective gear, some extra supplies, because kids couldn't share things like they used to before COVID hit. And so we were able to do that. We did have some remote classes for parents who were not comfortable with children coming to school or children who were medically fragile. And then we also had our face-to-face, and we supported our staff so they were comfortable in a classroom by educating and making sure that we had covered all of our bases to keep everybody safe and healthy.
One last question for you, Michelle. As we're coming out of that pandemic, or we hope we are coming fully out of that pandemic, did you see those partnerships strengthen, or do you feel like there's more work to be done to keep those partners on board? How are things looking as we look, 3, 6, 10 months ahead?
Right. As we proved this evening, we found that Zoom is a great tool. It has allowed us to connect to parents in a way that we have never connected before, and has brought in a lot of parents to things that they may not have attended in person. It has really, really supported our philosophy that the parent is the child's first teacher, because now we have parents coming to Zoom classes next to their teachers and learning what the child is learning. And I sat in, I have not ever been on a Zoom before COVID, just want you to know. I sat in on a classroom that was in a Zoom session, and I was amazed at the engagement of those children. They were muting themselves, they were taking themselves off mute, they were talking to each other, they were interacting with the teacher, and I would have never said that that was at all possible, So I think that strengthened during this activity, and I think it's really showed us where our strengths are, and then some areas that we really need to shore up, because it also showed some of the areas that we have maybe need to work a little harder at now. I think social emotional is going to be an issue that we're going to see in the fall, because kids haven't been in groups before. They haven't been playing with next door neighbors and cousins and relatives. And so I think we're going to, really, really focus our classrooms on that social emotional learning, so kids are school ready in the fall.
So I think you touched on a host of things. I've had a number of meetings with Rockford Public Schools, the superintendent and other team members, and been saying really the same thing that you're saying, is the importance of social emotional learning and making sure that we're supporting the child's social and emotional health. And I think it's going to be a big deal. I am happy to say that I think the district staff, and I believe the board, is on board to make sure that they put the resources necessary to the emotional health of our kids. So I will also say you seem to be a pro, so thank you. If this was your first year using virtual platform, it looks like you've done it seamlessly, and I will agree with you that these young kids who are on virtual platforms, I swear I try to meet with as many students as I could this year in second and third grade classrooms. Inevitably, they were like, Mr. Mayor, you're on mute. I was like, and all of them were doing it seamlessly. So thank you, Michelle. And as we talk a little bit about health, I want to bring Alicia back on. Alicia, with health services, can you talk to us a little bit about health services? And I'm going to make sure that you get unmuted as well. There we go. I think. Oh, you're still muted. I don't know why. Oh, can you unmute yourself, Alicia? I can't do it. Sorry.
There we go. Good evening, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, good evening. Question. Sorry for my. Could you tell us a little bit about health services?
Yeah, so we are here to support the family in any of their health needs, which would range from, physical health to social emotional, which is more of our mental health, dental or specialists. We support the families through all of their normal well child checks and prenatal appointments. And did you know there are 14 well child checks that a child goes to between the time they're born and they turn 5 years old?
That's unbelievable.
Isn't that unbelievable? That's an awful lot of well child checks for a family to remember and get everything done. So we support them through that. And then also if there's a specialist or a referral, we help them navigate that process. And anybody who's had to be referred to a test or a specialist knows that sometimes it's not that easy to get that appointment or that follow-up call. So just navigating the health system, teaching health literacy, and supporting the family through their that primary need is really, really important. And then we also do other things like screenings. So Chris mentioned that vision and hearing screening. We've really beefed up that program in the last couple of years with the addition of our Spot Vision screener, where it takes the pictures of your eyes. And I have to tell parents it's not a prescription because it looks like that. But it's so accurate. And then it really gets to catch those kids who might need to go for a follow-up exam with an eye doctor. To get those glasses, or those hearing needs, where we find a lot of children who need to have their hearing follow-up done. Maybe it's because they have chronic ear infections or even wax buildup. But we seem to identify needs that way.
Absolutely. And if you don't have the answer to this, I'm sorry to put you on the spot, kind of sorry, but just really curious. I've been curious with this. I never realized when I wasn't a parent how addictive those screens are to kids. And
Yes.
now I am really problematically well aware of how addictive they are.
Yes, well, keeping track of that vision health, and then also, like, if you're wearing your earbuds, how high is that really up?
Absolutely, and if you're listening to me, you probably want it muted, like half of Rockford. So, have you seen changes over the last several years with that spot check that you were mentioning?
Yeah, so before we had that, we were using a subjective screener where, we just did the normal, do your pupils dilate, the cross. There's a couple little techniques that you normally would do could also do in a physician's office that are part of an exam. But they don't see into the eye like a traditional eye exam would. And then you ask the parent questions. So, do you ever notice that your child sees floaty spots? And how does a parent ask that of a 2-year-old, right? You're going to ask the 2-year-old? So by having this other tool that actually uses this objective screening, hey, we're going to take your picture. You take the picture, the kids get to see themselves on camera, and it's this awesome reading. Whether you pass or fail, it doesn't matter. We just get that referral and move on. And then educating families that, anybody who has Medicaid or a managed care plan qualifies for that eye exam every year from the time they're born. And you don't need a referral from a doctor to go see an eye doctor. You need one to see an ophthalmologist, but not an optometrist. So, having that resource of where can I go to get my children's eyes checked, because it's such an important part of our health and development.
So when it comes to the health, what are those types of supports that you provide to each one of those families?
Right. So it ranges from making appointments to helping them get records to navigating a system to get an appointment for a specialist. Unfortunately, in our area, sometimes children have to travel very far just to go to a specialist, depending on their insurance. Dental. We do a lot of work with Dr. Grinter, and having children's oral health needs met. So it's not, I hate to say it, but we have a lot of kids with a lot of dental caries. So having that juice or that pop or that chocolate milk or strawberry milk, and then that, maybe not brushing those teeth every night really leaves those cavities. And it's hard to fill a 3-year-old's tooth, let alone a 2 or 1-year-old. So, and then there's an extra cost that families have to pay for oral health surgery. So if they have to have dental surgery, they're paying money out of their own pocketbook. So Head Start's able to support that family with that cost. And that's really important.
That's remarkable. And I know this question is very simplistic, but because obviously everyone knows health is important, but why is it so important at just such a young age to make sure that I can think of a million reasons. You've listed out just now a host of them. It's an incredibly daunting system it's an incredibly critical time of a child's health. Chris mentioned, the brain is developed 75%. But from your perspective, being in the field, working with families, working with young kids, why is it so critical?
So to me, it's so critical because it's a primary need. And like Chris had mentioned, having that love and security and safety in your home and relationship building, those are all primary needs, but so is your health. So if you're not healthy or you're in pain or your body's working so hard to stay healthy, it's very hard for it to do anything else. What I have noticed being in Head Start now for a number of years is the education's the easy part. Kids are like little sponges. They will soak up whatever you want to give them if they're in a state and they're ready to learn. So by making sure our children are healthy and ready and happy and secure in their environment and loving relationships, then they're ready to learn.
As a good McNamara, I can attest, children are sponges. They will soak up things that you may have said that you want them to hear or not hear.
Yes, they will.
I think you're absolutely right. One last question for you. we're going back to the classroom, right? How do you keep the child safe in a classroom?
Right. So, I'm sure what's on everybody's mind is that COVID. This last year has been quite a challenge for me. I've spent an awful lot of time doing COVID, whether it's helping families and triaging, or going through quarantining directions, or contact tracing, or promoting families to be vaccinated, because that's one of the biggest things that we can do right now is for our community is to get vaccinated against COVID so that we can keep people around us safe. So, encouraging that. But then we actually went through with, the CDC gave us wonderful guidance, and so did our health department and ISB. And we were able to write new protocols and procedures for cleaning, for sanitizing, for wearing PPE, for social distancing, and you can't social distance when you're feeding an infant. So how do you do that, right? Do I just wear a mask and then feed the baby? Yes, that's what you do. Do we wash our hands 20 times more often, and the children's hands? Yes, we do. Not sharing toys. Michelle mentioned that we bought toys. We bought toys because you had to have more toys, because after one child plays with that toy, it has to go in the yuck bucket to get cleaned before the next child plays with that toy. So having additional supports for teachers for cleaning toys, and buying our Zona machine at the Pace Center so that we could clean the toys with ozone, which is a much safer way to do it. In this contained unit, it's faster for the teachers and it doesn't leave a residue. So by not having those extra chemicals in the air, you're actually keeping the air cleaner and healthier to breathe for the children as well. Because I don't want to see our asthma go up because of chemicals.
No doubt. Well, I can tell you guys, you are going to see a lot more of me on the second floor. I'm just going to come to you with all my parenting questions.
There you go.
And really enlighten you. And just would remind citizens who are watching, please, if you have questions, pop them in the chat, and we'll try to get to as many as we can. And so as we talked, and thank you so much, Alicia, as we talked about Head Start, this critical component, kind of the unique differentiator is families and the care of families. So Sandra, that is all you on families. So could you tell us a little bit about family services?
Sure. Family services is part of the Head Start Advantage, and it is designed to support and empower our families. So from the very beginning, Head Start staff and families build positive, goal-oriented relationships in order to work towards the goals the families have chosen for themselves and their children.
Awesome. What support do you provide to those Head Start families?
We provide support in a variety of ways. We provide parent education workshops and resources based on the parents' needs. For example, job training, housing, clothing, parenting education, dental, mental health, physical health, and really anything that the parent has identified as a need. We work with them on that and provide the services, whether it's through us as a direct service or a referral to another agency or one of our collaborating partners.
And why, in your opinion, I mean, you're in the thick of it, right? So why, in your opinion, we have the child, we have the family, why is it so important to provide those family members all of these services?
It's important because engaging families as active participants in problem solving and goal setting for themselves and their children, they come up with their own strengths. They use their own strengths in order to address the challenges they face. So we're there to walk along with them, not do for them, but walk with them through the process.
That's so awesome. And again, not to throw something totally out of the blue at you, but if you think about COVID and all the really troubling things that families had to go through, if it's a loss of a loved one, if it's a child who's sick and you don't know if it's COVID or not, and just the social emotional strain of that, maybe a loss of a job, I can imagine that your services, even though maybe further away, were actually much busier. Do you feel like those families now, as we're slowly coming out of this, are starting to get more intact, to start feeling more comfortable?
Definitely. We know that when families are healthy and safe and economically stable, their children's health and their well-being can thrive.
Awesome.
So, like Chris said, our staff we're excited to come back. Our families are excited to come back, and we just can't wait for the school year to start again.
Awesome. I can see why this is getting me excited for it. I'm sure my kids aren't excited quite yet for the school year. I know me and my wife are very excited. It was like the first 2 weeks are fantastic. Now go back. So thank you, Sandra, for all this information. I want to bring Markeisha in because we've heard a lot about this fantastic program. And Markeisha, it seems like I want to talk to you a little bit about kind of the nuts and bolts here. We're talking enrollment, transportation. So how does enrollment work? I've listened to this stream, and I now think this may be something that my child and my family could benefit from. How's that enrollment work?
Definitely. So there are several different options to enroll your child in school, program options rather. So the program options, which Chris and Lisa have already, explained, is the home-based program option that we have, which has a home visitor teacher. We have our PACE center-based. We have our childcare collaborations, and we also have our collaborating schools in the Rockford Public School District, which is the Bayer and the Summerdale EC centers. And also, as far as like with enrollment, the Head Start staff will conduct an in-person interview and or a virtual interview, whichever is convenient for the parent. If the parent does a virtual interview, we have been very creative in how they are getting the information to us, whether it be scanning or emailing, or parents get creative. So there's different ways of getting the information to us as well. And also at that time, the Head Start staff is gathering the family's information in regards to the birth and income documents. And eligible families then are selected based on their income. And if the family receives public assistance, which would be the SSI benefits and or TANF benefits. If the family is homeless or if the family or child is in foster care. And then at this time, the child will be placed in a Head Start program option that best fits the family's needs.
Awesome. And so I can't speak for a lot of different schools, but just for those listening, both my children went to Summerdale, and the staff there is just remarkable. They really care and love for your child, and we've just had a wonderful experience at Summerdale. So, Markeisha, one of the big things that is, I can only imagine how big of a struggle it is transportation. Can you walk me through that? Is there transportation offered to children?
Yes, definitely. All children are offered transportation at the Head Start program, and transportation is offered within the Head Start transportation boundaries. And also on our buses, we have a 4-point harness, it's a seat belt. So the kids are strapped safely inside of and on the bus. And we also have program aides, which these are individuals that monitor the buses while the kids are on the bus, which, they sing to the kids, they read books to the kids, they have fun, and, they also build that relationship, making it comfortable and safe for them to come and go from school. And also when the parents are putting the kids on the bus, we have a safety policy where the parents are signing the kids on and off the bus. So we're getting the kids on the bus, we're getting the kids safely back and forth to school and home.
So, and if you don't know this, I understand it, but as kids get older, they, walk 3 blocks down the street and they stand outside and wait for that bus to come. How is that a similar thing that you're walking with your child? How does that? Is that, and then the parent and the child are, at the bus pickup? Is that how it works?
So we offer door-to-door services. So our Head Start buses pull up in front of the home. The parents are ready. The kids are ready. The parent walks the child to the bus, signs them in on the bus, and the monitor and child are walking the kids to the seat as they're getting strapped in.
That's awesome. When you say the parents are ready, I'm like, heck yeah, they are. They're like, see ya, go to school. So quick question. We're ending close to our time here. Is there a deadline for those who want to enroll coming up here in the fall or late summer?
No, enrollment for Head Start is all year round. And we definitely are enrolling kids for the upcoming school year. So we want to make sure that all the families are registered as soon as possible to ensure that their child is placed in the classroom.
Absolutely. And, if I've already signed my child up for Rockford Public Schools early childhood, are they enrolled in Head Start?
No, not necessarily. We do offer 2 different preschool program options. However, Head Start, we do have collaborating classrooms inside of our PS school districts, and that would be the Summerdale and Bayer locations. And they do offer non-collaboration classrooms as well. And at this time of enrollment, parents will receive the information regarding where their child will be placed for school.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Markeisha, for the work that you do. Obviously, 2 very critical pieces to make this all work. Want to bring Antoinette, Director Parham, back in with Lisa Warren. So we do have a question, and if we don't have it, we can always get back. But Diana asks, will someone address the transition from Head Start to Rockford District 205? Education readiness and curriculum collaboration between Head Start and early childhood program. Oh, you're on mute. Sorry.
I'm notorious for that also. We have something in common. Anyway, that transition, because we have collaboration classrooms with RPS, there is a fairly smooth transition from Head Start to RPS to kindergarten. So we're lucky in that, they provide some transition opportunities and activities for parents and children to kind of make that transition. And also they have access to some of their data that tells us how kids are doing from when they transition from Head Start to kindergarten, and that informs our teaching and instruction in preschool. So I would say that transition goes quite smoothly. Yeah, and provide information to the kindergarten teacher about the children.
Awesome. Well, thank you. And I would like to bring everyone back just to say, so your guys' program and the work that you guys do, I felt like I knew a good amount about it, but I have learned so much, not just about your program, but about how I need to correct my own parenting. And just want to say, it's just so unique, the program that you run and how all these different pieces must work together, but also work together with community resources, and how you do it so seamlessly and for the benefit of those young children, but also their entire family. It's just really inspiring to see. So I just want to say thank you for the work that you do, and hope that those who were able to watch tonight, and equally as important, those who may choose to take a look at this stream later on, get a lot out of this. And if you have questions about it, please reach out to the city. We want to make sure that your child has every advantage and your family has every advantage possible, so that you can continue to move forward and love your city. And so if you have questions, you can call 779-348-7169. And just again, to all of you, thank you for staying a little bit late tonight, and just appreciate all the wonderful information you were able to provide me and all the listeners tonight. I hope you have a wonderful night. Thank you.
Thank you.